Ambassador Daniel Carter straightened his tie and took a deep breath as the doors to the conference room slid open. This was humanity's first official meeting with the Galactic Confederation, and everything had to go perfectly. He stepped forward with confidence, though inside his stomach was in knots. The room was circular with a large round table in the center. 7 alien representatives sat waiting, each one stranger than the last. The tallest among them, a reptilian creature with crimson scales and yellow eyes, stood as Daniel entered. "Ambassador Carter of Earth, we welcome you to this preliminary meeting," the alien said in a voice that rumbled like distant thunder. "I am Supreme Commander Vax of the Vorax, current leaders of the Confederation." Daniel nodded and took his seat. "Thank you for extending this invitation. Earth is eager to establish peaceful relations with our galactic neighbors." The aliens exchanged glances that Daniel couldn't quite read. A slender blue-skinned being with 4 arms spoke next. "We have reviewed your species' brief history of space travel. Very primitive, but ambitious." The way it said primitive made Daniel's military training tingle with warning. "We are young in the stars," Daniel admitted, "but humans learn quickly." "Indeed," said a floating creature that seemed made of light and gas. "Your species advanced from basic flight to moon landing in less than 70 years. Most concerning." Daniel kept his face neutral. "Concerning? I would have thought impressive." Supreme Commander Vax leaned forward, his clawed hands clasped together. "Impressive or concerning depends on one's perspective, Ambassador. Fast-growing species can be unpredictable." The meeting continued for hours. Each alien representative presented information about their own species and the structure of the Confederation. Daniel listened carefully and took notes, but couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. They spoke of peace, trade, and cooperation, but their eyes, or whatever passed for eyes among the various species, told a different story. Finally, they reached the purpose of the meeting. A hovering data pad floated toward Daniel, displaying a document written in multiple languages, including English. "These are our standard terms for new species seeking Confederation protection," explained a small gray being with huge black eyes. "Quite generous, I assure you." Daniel read through the terms slowly, his diplomatic smile never faltering even as his blood ran cold. According to this agreement, Earth would provide resource tributes to the Confederation, restrict its space travel to approved routes, and allow Confederation military bases on Mars and the Moon. "This is not a partnership," Daniel said carefully. "This is a surrender." The room grew tense. Commander Vax's scales darkened slightly. "You misunderstand, Ambassador. We offer protection. The galaxy is dangerous. Without our help, Earth would be vulnerable." The threat wasn't even veiled. Daniel stood slowly, straightening to his full height. He wasn't particularly tall for a human, but he towered over several of the aliens. "Earth appreciates your offer," he said, keeping his voice level and pleasant. "But we will need to discuss terms that reflect mutual respect and benefit." "These do not." The insectoid representative clicked angrily. "Your species has no standing to make demands." Daniel smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "We aren't making demands. We're declining your current offer and suggesting we work together on terms that benefit us all." Commander Vax rose from his seat, towering over Daniel. "I suggest you reconsider, Ambassador. Accidents happen in space. Colony ships disappear. Outposts suffer malfunctions." Daniel met the alien's gaze without flinching. "Is that a threat, Commander?" "A reality of space travel," Vax replied. "Think carefully about Earth's position. We will reconvene in 14 standard cycles for formal peace talks. I hope your people choose wisely." Daniel gathered his materials. "We always do, Commander. Earth looks forward to genuine peace talks. Good day." As he left the room, Daniel could feel 7 pairs of alien eyes boring into his back. His mission was clear now. Earth needed to prepare, not just diplomatically, but for all possibilities. He had 14 days to warn his planet that what the Confederation called peace looked a lot like subjugation. And Daniel Carter had no intention of letting that happen. The United Earth Council chamber buzzed with worried voices. 50 representatives from around the world sat in a half-circle, watching as Ambassador Daniel Carter finished his report. The large screen behind him showed images of the 7 alien species that made up the Galactic Confederation. "So they're basically threatening us," said Counselor Maria Rodriguez, her voice tight with anger, "demanding tribute and military access in exchange for not attacking us." Daniel nodded. They didn't say it that directly, but yes, the Confederation, especially the Vorax, see us as easy prey. Admiral Catherine Summers stood up. Her gray uniform was crisp, her posture perfect. "We have 13 days before the formal peace talks. Our long-range sensors detected unusual movement near our Mars colony yesterday. We believe they're planning what Commander Vax called a malfunction." The room grew quiet. President William Ellis rubbed his forehead. "Options. We could show military force," General Frank Howard suggested. "Deploy the fleet near Mars as a warning." Admiral Summers shook her head. "Our ships would be outmatched. We need a different approach." She touched her tablet, and a new face appeared on the screen. "I propose we send Dr. Alan Reeves as our negotiator." Murmurs filled the room. Dr. Reeves was a well-known anthropologist who studied communication between different cultures. What many didn't know was his past in special operations before he became a scientist. "Dr. Reeves isn't a diplomat," Daniel pointed out. "Exactly," Admiral Summers replied with a small smile. "The Confederation expects us to send a team of nervous diplomats ready to accept their terms. Dr. Reeves is something else entirely." The council debated for hours. As they argued, a message arrived from an unexpected source. A small trading ship from the Elleran species, one of the Confederation members, had docked at the lunar base with a warning. The message was played for the council. A blue-skinned alien with 4 arms appeared on screen. "Humans, be wary. The Vorax did the same to us 50 cycles ago. First comes the threat, then the demonstration of force, then subjugation. They underestimate new species. Use this against them." Similar messages arrived from 2 other species not part of the Confederation. Each offered small bits of intelligence about Confederation tactics and weaknesses. Dr. Alan Reeves was called in. He was of average height with brown hair going gray at the temples. Nothing about him seemed remarkable, which was perhaps his greatest asset. He listened carefully as the situation was explained. "You want me to be our only representative at these peace talks?" he asked, his voice calm. "Yes," Admiral Summers confirmed. "You'll have our full support behind the scenes, but you'll appear to be alone." Reeves nodded slowly. "Because they'll underestimate a single human." "Exactly," Daniel said. "I've seen how they look at us. They think we're weak, technically backward, and easily frightened. What they don't know," President Ellis added, "is that we've been preparing for first contact for decades. We have plans." Dr. Reeves studied the alien physiology reports, cultural briefings, and technical data. For 3 days, he absorbed everything known about the 7 species of the Confederation. On the 4th day, a scout ship reported back with disturbing news. A Confederation vessel had entered the outer solar system and was moving toward Mars. "They're going to attack sooner than we thought," Admiral Summers said grimly during the emergency meeting. "They want to frighten us before the peace talks." Dr. Reeves looked up from his notes. "Let them come." "You want us to allow an attack on our colony?" General Howard asked in disbelief. "No," Reeves said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I want them to think they're attacking our colony. Meanwhile, we'll evacuate everyone and set a trap." President Ellis studied Reeves for a long moment, then nodded. "Make it happen." The next day, Dr. Alan Reeves boarded the diplomatic vessel U.S. Horizon, bound for the neutral space station where the peace talks would be held. Behind him, Earth prepared for what might be its first interstellar war. or its greatest diplomatic victory. The space station Harmony was massive. Built in neutral territory, it served as the meeting place for species across the galaxy. Dr. Alan Reeves looked out the viewport of the U.S. horizon as they approached. The station resembled a giant silver wheel spinning slowly in space, with ships of various designs docked along its outer ring. "Preparing for docking," announced the pilot. "Dr. Reeves, the Confederation delegation is already aboard." Alan nodded and straightened his simple black suit. No military uniform, no fancy diplomatic robes. Just a plain human in plain clothes, exactly as planned. The U.S. horizon docked smoothly. Alan gathered his small bag and walked to the airlock. Captain Susan Bell stopped him. "Remember, we'll be right here if you need us," she said quietly. "The emergency signal works up to 20 kilometers inside the station." "I know," Alan replied with a small smile. "But if all goes well, I won't need it." He stepped through the airlock onto Harmony Station. A delegation waited for him. Representatives from each Confederation species. Their surprise was clear when they saw only one human exit the ship. "Dr. Alan Reeves, Earth's representative," he said with a polite bow. "Thank you for hosting these peace talks." The Xanthari delegate, a tall, thin being with iridescent skin and huge eyes, stepped forward. "We expected a larger delegation. Is Earth not taking these negotiations seriously?" Alan kept his expression neutral. "On the contrary, Earth considers these talks extremely important. I am fully authorized to speak on behalf of my planet." The Vorax representative, a different individual than Commander Vax, but just as imposing, made a rumbling sound that might have been laughter. "One human against 7 species. Your leaders must be very confident, or very foolish. I look forward to showing which it is," Alan replied pleasantly. The aliens led him through the station. Various species watched him pass, some whispering to each other. Humans were rarely seen this far from Earth. His quarters were spacious but simple, a bedroom, small living area, and hygiene facility adapted for multiple species. The Marithi delegate, an insect-like being with compound eyes, explained the station's features in a clicking voice. "The formal talks begin tomorrow, at central rotation. A guide will collect you." With that, the delegation left him alone. Alan immediately went to work. He checked the room for surveillance devices and found 3. He left them in place but activated a small jammer for truly private conversations. Then he unpacked his few belongings, including several small devices disguised as everyday items. His personal computer linked with Harmony systems. While it appeared he was browsing general information about the station, he was actually mapping security protocols and communication channels. A soft chime indicated someone at his door. Alan checked the visitor display and saw a slender blue-skinned alien with 4 arms. An Ellerin. He opened the door cautiously. "Dr. Reeves, I am Lyanna Voss, junior representative for the Ellerin people." Her voice was musical, her eyes large and expressive. "May I enter? There are matters we should discuss." Ellen stepped aside to let her in. "What matters would those be, Representative Voss?" Once inside, Lyanna's formal demeanor changed. She looked nervous. "You should know that the environmental systems in these quarters have been tampered with. Around midnight, the oxygen levels will drop while you sleep. An assassination attempt already?" Ellen asked calmly, as if discussing the weather. Lyanna seemed surprised by his reaction. "You do not seem concerned. I came prepared for such welcomes." He opened his bag and showed her a small breathing device. "But thank you for the warning. Why are you helping me?" Lyanna's 4 hands moved in an agitated pattern. "The Vorax do not speak for all of us. Some remember when our own species faced similar negotiations. What they planned for Earth is wrong." After she left, Alan made additional preparations for the night. He set up his own environmental monitors and several countermeasures. Then he sent a coded message to the U.S. horizon. First move made. That night, precisely at midnight station time, the oxygen began to thin in his quarters. Alan, appearing to sleep peacefully in bed, was actually wide awake and monitoring the situation through nearly closed eyes. When the levels became dangerous, he simply reached for his breathing device, already hidden under his pillow. More interesting was what he did next. He activated a small device that released harmless but obvious smoke into the ventilation system, smoke that would trigger alarms throughout the nearby section of the station. As emergency systems activated and confused staff responded to the apparent malfunction, Alan smiled slightly. By morning, everyone on Harmony would know two things. Someone had tried to kill the human delegate, and somehow the human had not only survived, but turned the attempt into a very public embarrassment. The real negotiations hadn't even started yet. The main conference room of Harmony Station had a high ceiling and walls of a transparent material that showed the stars outside. 7 curved tables formed a semicircle facing a single straight table. Dr. Alan Reeves sat alone at the straight table, facing the 7 representatives of the Confederation. Rumors of the previous night's environmental failure had spread quickly. The Vorax delegate, Commander Krell, glared at Alan with barely hidden anger. The other delegates whispered among themselves, occasionally glancing at the calm human. "We will now begin the formal peace talks between the Galactic Confederation and Earth," announced the mediator, a neutral party from a species not part of the Confederation. Each party will present their terms. Commander Krell stood first. His crimson scales caught the light as he moved. The Confederation offers Earth protection and limited membership. He outlined terms similar to what Ambassador Carter had seen, though slightly improved. Earth would provide fewer resources and would be allowed more space travel, but would still host military bases. When he finished, all eyes turned to Alan. He stood slowly, his posture relaxed but confident. "Earth appreciates the Confederation's offer," he began, his voice steady. "However, we propose a different arrangement." He outlined terms of equal trade, scientific exchange, and mutual defense without any military occupation. Commander Krell slammed his fist on the table. "Ridiculous. Earth has nothing to offer as equals. You barely leave your solar system." Alan smiled slightly. "Yet here I am." He turned to face each delegate in turn. The Xanthari developed warp technology 300 years before joining the Confederation. The Elorans were master terraformers. The Dovan had already created a peaceful alliance of 15 star systems. The delegates shifted uncomfortably. Alan continued, "Yet each of you faced similar terms to what Earth faces now. Each of you gave up sovereignty in exchange for protection." "You know nothing of our histories," hissed the Marithi delegate, mandibles clicking. "Don't I?" Alan activated his datapad and displayed historical documents that should have been impossible for Earth to obtain. The Trell were once the most advanced species in this sector until a tragic accident destroyed their homeworld. After that, the survivors needed Confederation protection. The ancient Trell delegate's eyes widened. No one outside the Confederation knew this history. Commander Krell stood suddenly and moved toward Alan, his massive frame towering over the human. "You speak of things you don't understand, little human. Perhaps a demonstration of our strength is needed." Alan didn't back away. He looked up at Krell calmly. "Physical intimidation. Is that how the mighty Confederation negotiates?" Krell moved with surprising speed, swinging a clawed hand toward Alan's face. But the human moved faster. In one fluid motion, Alan sidestepped the attack, caught Krell's arm, and used the alien's momentum to send him stumbling forward. The conference room fell silent in shock. No one had ever seen a Vorax warrior bested in physical combat, especially not by a species as seemingly weak as humans. "My apologies," Alan said to the room, his voice still calm. "On Earth, when someone swings at you, it's considered self-defense to respond." Krell regained his balance, eyes burning with fury. "This means war, human." "Does it?" Alan asked. "Because a Mars colony outpost was attacked yesterday by a Confederation vessel. The attack was recorded and broadcast to every species in the sector. He displayed the footage, showing a Vorax ship firing on what appeared to be an Earth outpost. "You attacked during peace negotiations. That violates galactic law," Allen continued. "Earth could demand sanctions against the Confederation. Your outpost was destroyed. You should be begging for mercy," growled Krell. Allen's smile grew slightly. "The outpost was evacuated days ago. No humans died. We knew you were coming." Whispers erupted among the delegates. The Elloran representative, Lyanna Voss, spoke up. "How did humans predict this attack?" "Because we studied you," Allen said simply. "All of you. Your patterns, your history, your tactics. The Vorax always strike before talks conclude, to demonstrate strength." Allen looked around the room. "We came prepared for peace, but we also came prepared for everything else." As the session ended in chaos, several delegates approached Allen privately. The balance of power had shifted. Earth wasn't just fighting for fair terms anymore. It was exposing the Confederation's secrets, and some members were beginning to wonder if they had chosen the wrong side. Dr. Alan Reeves sat alone in his quarters, studying the encrypted message from Earth. Admiral Summers had sent new intelligence that changed everything. He read it twice to be sure he understood. "The Confederation doesn't just want Earth's resources," he muttered to himself. "They want our solar system as a strategic position against another empire." The message included details about a much larger conflict brewing on the far side of Confederation space. Earth sat at a perfect jumping-off point for military operations. This wasn't about subjugating a new species. It was about using human territory for war. A soft knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. Allen quickly encrypted the message and opened the door. 3 delegates stood outside. Lyanna Voss from the Ellorans, the ancient Trell delegate whose name was unpronounceable to humans, and Zivtal, the perceptive Xanthari who had watched Allen so carefully. "May we speak privately?" Lyanna asked, her forehands moving nervously. Allen invited them in and activated his jamming device. "I assume this isn't an official Confederation visit." "No," said Zivtal, their iridescent skin shifting colors with emotion. "We come as representatives of our own species, not the Confederation." The Trell Elder moved forward on hovering technology that supported their frail body. "Human, you know more than you should. Your species has prepared more thoroughly than any before." "Why?" "Because we've been fighting ourselves for thousands of years," Allen answered honestly. "Humans have always prepared for the worst while hoping for the best." He decided to take a risk. "I know why the Confederation really wants Earth. It's not about our resources. It's about our location." The 3 aliens exchanged glances. Lyanna spoke first. "The Dominion. You know about the Dominion." "We've intercepted communications," Allen confirmed. "The Confederation needs Earth as a military position against this other empire." Zivtal's skin rippled with surprise. "Your intelligence capabilities are concerning." "Not concerning," the Trell Elder corrected. "Impressive. Perhaps we have underestimated these humans." Their conversation was cut short by a station-wide announcement. "All delegates report to emergency session." "Repeat, all delegates to emergency session." At the session, Commander Krell stood before the assembly, his scales dark with rage. "We have detected unauthorized communications from this station to Earth vessels. Someone is sharing classified information." Allen kept his face neutral, though he knew this was aimed at him. The data he'd received had been well encrypted, but apparently not well enough. "Furthermore," Krell continued, "we have evidence that Earth vessels have been mapping Confederation space beyond authorized areas." This was news to Allen. Earth had indeed sent stealth scouts beyond their solar system, but he hadn't been briefed on their findings. In light of these provocations and the human delegates' disrespect, the Vorax call for immediate military action against Earth. The conference room erupted in voices. Some delegates supported the Vorax position, but others, including Allen's 3 visitors, called for restraint. Allen stood calmly. "Before you vote on war, You should know that Earth has been preparing for this moment for decades. Empty threats, sneered Krell. Your primitive weapons are no match for Confederation fleets. Not empty, Alan said. He activated his datapad, displaying a star chart of Confederation space with certain points highlighted. These are the current positions of Earth stealth vessels. Each carries what we call a Nova package, a device capable of triggering a star to go supernova prematurely. Gasps filled the room. Such technology was theoretically possible but considered too dangerous to develop. You're bluffing, Krell said, but uncertainty had crept into his voice. Am I? Alan asked. You attacked our Mars outpost, thinking we were defenseless. You tried to assassinate me, thinking I was unprepared. You've been wrong every time. The lights in the conference room suddenly went out. Emergency systems flickered on seconds later. When they did, Alan was standing in exactly the same position, but now he held a small device in his hand. During that brief darkness, I could have killed everyone in this room, he said quietly. Instead, I downloaded the Confederation's secret battle plans from your supposedly secure system. He displayed the plans on the main screen, the full strategy for using Earth's position against the Dominion. The Confederation delegates stared in shock, some in anger, others in growing respect. Earth doesn't want war, Alan continued. We want true peace, not subjugation disguised as protection. Now shall we negotiate as equals? The news of the Vorax attack on the Mars outpost spread quickly throughout Harmony Station. Official Confederation channels called it a security operation, but the footage Alan had shared told a different story. Many species not part of the Confederation began to withdraw their representatives from the station, fearing what might come next. In the private meeting room, the 7 Confederation delegates argued among themselves. The Vorax and their close allies, the Merithi, demanded immediate military action against Earth. The others, led by Lyanna Voss and Zivtal, urged caution. The human has shown more knowledge and preparation than we expected, Zivtal said, their skin shimmering with concern. We should consider their offer of equal partnership. Commander Krell slammed his fist down. Never. Humans are dangerous. They developed too quickly. Their claim of Nova packages must be a bluff. And if it isn't, asked the Trell elder softly, are you willing to risk Vorax worlds to find out? While they argued, Alan Reeves was in communication with Earth. Admiral Summers appeared on his secure screen. The Confederation fleet is mobilizing, Alan, she said grimly. Our stealth satellites have detected at least 20 warships moving toward our system. Have they discovered our hidden fleet? Alan asked. No, the ships remain in stealth mode near Harmony Station. They have no idea we're right on top of them. Alan nodded. It's time for the final play. Is everything ready on Earth? Yes, President Ellis has authorized Operation Mirror. Just give the word. Alan ended the communication and prepared for what might be the most important meeting in human history. He carefully checked his equipment, including a small device in his pocket that would signal Earth's fleet if needed. The emergency session was called to order an hour later. All delegates were present, along with observers from non-Confederation species. Alan noticed more security guards than usual, all Vorax or Merithi. Supreme Commander Vax himself had arrived from the Vorax homeworld. He towered over everyone as he took command of the proceedings. The human colony on Mars was harboring weapons in violation of preliminary agreements, Vax declared. Our operation was justified. Alan stood. There were no agreements about weapons, preliminary or otherwise. Earth rejected your initial terms. Silence. Vax roared. Earth will submit to Confederation authority or face destruction. Our fleet approaches your system now. Murmurs of alarm spread through the room. This was a clear violation of diplomatic protocol. Many looked to Alan, expecting fear or panic. Instead, he smiled. I'd like to call for a visual connection to Earth, please. The request was so unexpected that it was granted before anyone could object. The main screen activated, showing President Ellis and the United Earth Council. "President Ellis," Allen said calmly, "Commander Vax has just informed us that a Confederation fleet is moving to attack Earth. Do you have any response?" The President nodded gravely. "Yes, Dr. Reeves. Please activate Display Protocol Omega." Allen tapped his datapad. The screen split to show a second feed, live footage from space. It showed the Confederation fleet, supposedly in secret transit. But surrounding it, previously invisible, were twice as many Earth vessels that had just deactivated their stealth systems. The room fell silent in shock. The Confederation fleet was completely surrounded. "This is Admiral Catherine Summers of Earth Defense Force," came a new voice as a gray-haired woman appeared on screen. "Your fleet is currently targeted by our Nova packages and conventional weapons. Any hostile action will be met with immediate response." Vax's scales darkened with rage. "Impossible. How did primitive humans develop such technology?" "We didn't," Allen said simply. "Not all of it, anyway." He nodded to Lyanna Voss, who stood. "The Illorans provided stealth technology," she admitted. "We have grown tired of Vorax domination." Zivtal rose next. The Xanthari shared communications encryption. One by one, representatives from 4 Confederation species admitted to secretly helping Earth prepare. Even some non-Confederation species had contributed, all united by one goal: ending Vorax control of galactic politics. "You betrayed the Confederation," Vax hissed. "No," said the Trell Elder. "We saved it. The Confederation was meant to be a partnership of equals, not an empire ruled by the Vorax." Alen walked to the center of the room. "Earth doesn't want war. We want peace. Real peace, not subjugation. Commander Vax, you have a choice. Order your fleet to stand down and negotiate fairly, or discover exactly how prepared humans are for conflict." All eyes turned to Commander Vax, whose choices had suddenly become very limited. Supreme Commander Vax's scales rippled with barely controlled rage as he looked from the viewscreen showing Earth's fleet to the humans standing calmly before him. The conference room remained silent, all eyes fixed on what would happen next. "This is a trick," Vax finally said. "Humans cannot have such advanced technology." Allen Reeves shook his head. "No tricks, Commander. Just careful planning and good friends." He gestured to the delegates who had admitted helping Earth. Vax's hand moved toward a device on his wrist. Several Vorax guards tensed, ready for action. "I wouldn't," Allen said quietly. "That emergency signal will order your fleet to attack. If they do, they'll be destroyed, along with everyone in this room." "You would die too, human," Vax growled. "Yes," Allen agreed simply. "But Earth would survive. Would the Vorax, after our Nova packages activate?" For a long moment, no one moved. Then the Trell Elder hovered forward, positioning between Allen and Vax. "Enough. For 10,000 years, I have watched the Confederation change from a peaceful alliance to an empire. Today it ends." The ancient being turned to address all delegates. "I call for an immediate vote of no confidence in Vorax leadership." The Elloran, Xanthari, Dovan, and Kalteri delegates quickly voiced their support. Only the Marathi stood with the Vorax. Commander Krell lunged suddenly toward Allen, claws extended. But before he could reach the human, Lyanna Voss moved with surprising speed, all 4 arms striking pressure points on the Vorax's body. Krell collapsed, paralyzed but conscious. "Elloran defense technique," Lyanna explained calmly. "He'll recover in an hour." Vax looked around, realizing he was outnumbered. With visible effort, he controlled his rage. "Very well. I order our fleet to stand down." He pressed a different sequence on his wrist device. On the view screen, the Confederation vessels powered down their weapons systems. Admiral Summers nodded in approval and ordered Earth ships to maintain position, but lower their targeting systems. "Now," Allen said, "let's discuss real peace terms." Over the next 6 hours, representatives from Earth and all 7 Confederation species worked together on a new agreement. The Voraks would remain members but would lose their position of dominance. Each species would have equal voting rights in a new galactic council. Earth would join as a full member with all the rights and responsibilities that entailed. When the new treaty was finally ready, President Ellis authorized Allen to sign on behalf of Earth. One by one, each species representative added their signature or equivalent mark. As the historic meeting concluded, Zivtal approached Allen privately. "Human, there is something I do not understand. How did your species prepare so thoroughly?" "Our intelligence said humans were divided, often fighting among themselves." Allen smiled. "That's exactly why we were ready. Humans have spent thousands of years preparing for the worst from each other. We've imagined every possible threat and planned for it. When we finally looked to the stars, we simply applied that same caution. But the technology, the stealth ships, the Nova packages, some were bluffs," Allen admitted quietly. "Some weren't. That's the point. No one could be sure which was which." The Xanthari's skin shifted through patterns of understanding. "So when we heard human invited to peace talks, we should have been more cautious." "Exactly. On Earth, those who truly seek peace prepare most diligently for war. Not because they want it, but because they understand its cost better than anyone." As Allen prepared to return to the U.S. horizon, now visible, and docked openly at the station, Lyanna Voss approached with a data crystal. "For Earth's archives," she said. "The true history of the Confederation and how it nearly became an empire. Let future generations remember how close we came to war and how we found peace instead." Allen accepted the crystal with a bow. "And perhaps a reminder that appearances can be deceiving. Even a seemingly primitive species might be more than they appear." As the U.S. Horizon departed Harmony Station 2 days later, word was already spreading throughout the galaxy. A new saying began to circulate among diplomatic circles. "You invited a human to peace talks." That's not diplomacy. That's a warning. The human ship returned to Earth, where preparations for joining the galactic community were already underway. And across the stars, many species looked toward the small blue planet with new respect, wondering what other surprises the humans might have in store for the galaxy.